the Honourable Minister of Education, Heritage and Arts and Local Government, Mr. Jonathan Vage, UNICEF, Mr. Frank Thompson, DFET, the Senior Education Specialist, GPE, Mr. Daisuke Kanazawa, and the Education Specialist, GPE, Mr. Hoke Colleen, Permanent Secretaries and Senior Government Officials, members of the Diplomatic Corps, international and local NGOs, faith-based organizations, representatives of the universities, business houses, distinguished guests, students, teachers, media representatives, ladies and gentlemen. Bula Vinaka, namaste, and a very good morning to you all. I extend a very warm welcome to all of you to this very important event, the launch of the Education Sector Plan Development Program by our Honourable Minister. It is especially pleasing to welcome our students here this morning, for this is about them. This event will mark a milestone in shaping our nation's education sector. We are pleased that we have decided to develop the Education Sector Plan, which will chart a 10-year roadmap for education in Fiji. This is the most opportune time to embark on such an initiative, because with COVID-19 disrupting education dramatically right across the world, we need to seriously think about building resilience in education so that disruptions in the future do not cause the level of learning loss as it has done this time. Clearly, the world was not ready for such a disruption. When we received a letter last year, June, from the Global Partnership for Education, GPE, addressed to the Ministers of Education and Economy, informing us that Fiji had become eligible to be a member of GPE, it gave us an opportunity to firstly become a member of GPE, and secondly, to take advantage of it in developing our education sector plan. The work has been going on since then in the background, and I acknowledge our partners UNICEF and DFET for their guidance and assistance right from the start. Since Fiji has become a member of GPE, we have become eligible for funds for system capacity grant of up to 1.5 million US, which can be used to develop the education sector plan. We have received US $587,879 for developing the education sector plan, and we still are able to access additional funds should the needs arise as we carry out this work. We've also now become eligible to access up to USD $5 million for what we call System Transformation Grant, which we will be applying for later this year, with the aim to bring about significant changes to systems and processes in 3 identified critical policy areas. As required by GPE, an education partner group comprising of the ministry, our education partners, UNICEF as the grant agent, and DFET as the coordinating agent, other education partners, representative from Fiji Head Teachers Association, representative from Fiji Principals Association, and the civil society, has been formed and was tasked to oversee the development of the proposal for systems capacity grant. And I want to thank the members of the group for their efforts in securing these funds. In the development of the education sector plan, some key aspects will need to be considered, such as quality and equitable education for all children, gender equality, and positioning our education system in the rapidly changing global climate. I'm also very pleased to welcome the representatives from GPE, Mr. Kana and Mr. Colleen, both of whom who've joined us for this launch and to hold discussions on how they can better support us in both the development of the education sector plan as well as other initiatives that GPE may be able to fund. I hope your discussions go well and you get a little bit of time to see some of our beautiful country. For small island developing states such as ours, international partnerships are critical because they provide essential support in terms of funding and expertise that help us advance our work, and this is a really good example of one such partnership. I also want to specifically again acknowledge UNICEF and DFID for their close collaboration with us, not only just in this initiative, but beyond this. These agencies have been important partners in education historically, and this renewed commitment from them in our efforts to develop the education sector plan is testimony to their commitment to education in Fiji. Ladies and gentlemen and students, with these words, I would once again like to welcome you all very warmly to this event. Thank you, Vinaka Vakalevu, and Dhanyavad.
Honorable Minister of Education, Heritage and Arts and Local Education, and also local government, and representative from UNICEF Australia, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, thank you very much for inviting us to this launching event of the Education Sector Plan Development Program. My name is Daisuke Kanazawa. Thank you very much for the introduction. Call me Kana. Daisuke Kanazawa is a quite long name. So, I'm on mission to Fiji together with my colleague Jorge here. From the Secretariat of the Global Partnership for Education, or GPE. And I'm based in United States, Washington, D.C., and he's from Paris now. And we are so pleased to join you on this special occasion. And on behalf of our Chief Executive Officer of the Global Partnership for Education, actually, he was so pleased to be invited to this event, but unfortunately, because of his previously arranged engagement, he could not come here today. So let me share his humble apologies for this, not being able to come here. But he is so pleased that Fiji has joined GPE this year and started utilizing GPE already. Taking this advantage of this opportunity, let me explain a little bit more about Global Partnership for Education and how GPE can provide support to Fiji. Basically, a global partnership for education is a multi-stakeholder partnership and funding platform, bringing together developing country and donor country governments, civil society organizations, international organizations, teacher organizations, youth organizations, and private sector, and philanthropy. So all kinds of partners are now on the table at the global level, at also country level. Right now, GPE has more than 80 developing country partners, and then more than 20 donor country partners. Looking around, we see huge progress made so far in education, especially in terms of access to education. But we see kind of huge challenges remaining. Like PS said, a disruption imposed by the COVID-19 pandemic, or combined with negative effects of the climate change, and also conflicts you see all over the world, and economic downturn, slowdown because of this. These are all deepening the learning crisis. So GP therefore strongly encourages GP member countries to transform the education system. Because without transforming the education system, getting out from business as usual, these huge challenges could not be overcome. And bringing partners together is kind of a core heart of this work. And then GP encourages civil society, involvement of civil society organizations and youth organizations as well, bringing all partners together to do this work. And last year, GPE has allocated, not allocated yet, sorry, indicated maximum country allocation to Fiji of around 11.5 million US dollar in total with various GP grants and resources. And these resources are meant to help Fiji to achieve system transformation in education through analyzing and then strengthening enabling factors for system transformation, one of which is a strong gender-responsive education sector planning, which this program will support. And also through developing a partnership compact in-country together with your education partners to achieve system transformation, and then through implementing this partnership compact to achieve this system transformation. And right now, I understand that GP, Fiji already secured some funds from GPE to support this education sector plan development program, and also for following the step toward system transformation in education. So together with its newly established education group called Education Partners Group, EPG, right? Then, quite encouraging and exciting progress has been already made. And we believe that these GP resources and then steps could be useful as a catalyst for Fiji to achieve or transform the education system and then provide quality education for all children and youth in Fiji. So GP Global Partnership Education, myself, and then Jorge here, firmly stand ready to support your further efforts to transform the education system and provide quality education for all. Thank you very much.
I would like to acknowledge the presence of Assistant Minister, Honorable Andi Maitonga, the Senior Education Specialist, GPE, Mr. Kana, Education Specialist, GPE, Mr. Pesina, UNICEF Representative, Pacific Island Countries, Mr. Jonathan Veach, First Secretary, Australian High Commission, Dr. Frank Thompson, members of the Diplomatic Corps, Permanent Secretaries and senior government officials, President of Women in Business and President of Fiji Chamber of Commerce, Dr. Nurbano Ali, members of the business community, representatives from the Fiji Higher Education Institutes, chairs, board members, and CEOs of education state bodies, international and local NGOs, faith-based organizations, students and teachers, media representatives, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Bulavinaka, namaste, assalamu alaikum, and a very good morning to each one of you. Firstly, let me inform that the Honorable Prime Minister could not be here this morning due to some pressing engagement which he had to attend at a short notice. Prime Minister sends his best wishes for this event. Ladies and gentlemen, today marks the beginning of a new initiative that is expected to significantly strengthen the education sector in Fiji. It is a very exciting day. And from the time we started developing the thinking around how we want to transform education, every day has been quite interesting and exciting. As the newest member of a global partnership for education, Fiji is looking forward to the guidance and support from GPE to develop its education sector plan to make a game-changing transformation to our education system. We cannot simply do incremental changes, no more. The education sector needs to be transformed completely. In the last 3 or 4 decades, if each one of us seated here, if we can reflect on our education sector, the question is, what has really changed from the days we were in school to what it is now today? Ladies and gentlemen, Fiji's 20-year National Development Plan provides the forward-looking vision for transforming Fiji towards a progressive, vibrant, and inclusive society. Universal access to education at all levels is at the heart of the Fijian government, which aligns to the Sustainable Development Goal number 4. The Fijian government is committed to improving the quality of education so that our students develop the skills they need to survive and thrive in the 21st century. To realize this ambition, we will make bold and necessary changes so that our students develop critical thinking, social skills, and problem-solving skills. It is important to make the education sector fit for purpose, for students, for employers, for community, and for the future of our nation. Education transformation should serve students of the 21st century where knowledge is becoming a vital economic resource for knowledge-based economies. Transformational change will not come quickly, nor will it be inexpensive. That is why we need assistance from all stakeholders, including our development partners. The Ministry of Education intends to develop an education sector plan for the next 10 years as outlined by the Permanent Secretary. This plan will articulate the national vision for education as stated in the National Development Plan, which reflects the voices and priorities of all Fijians. To develop this plan, the Ministry, in collaboration with UNICEF and DFAT, applied and received Systems Capacity Grant from GPE. This grant will assist in the formulation of the new education sector plan, which we expect to be a futuristic document that will provide a roadmap to transform Fiji's education system. Education remains the topmost priority as a nation. As a small nation, we allocate about 20% of our national budget and about 7% of our GDP to education annually, which is more than the globally agreed target of 15%. As far as domestic financing goes, we are punching above our weight with this level of funding. Ladies and gentlemen, we are one of the very few developing countries in the world that provides this level of support for education. Investment in education reflects the government's commitment to education despite facing 14 cyclones from 2016 that wiped out half of our GDP since Fiji signed the Paris Agreement in 2016. The Fijian government provides free education from preschool right up to the secondary level. Parents and guardians no longer have to worry about the tuition fees bus fares, boat fares, textbooks, and fundraising to fix community-owned schools. Since 2021, the Fijian government provides sanitary pads to all girls from years 7 to 13. This support has provided opportunities for many Fijians whose access to education would have otherwise been denied due to the socio-economic status. And if we have a conversation with the members of the community, they will relate their stories, the difficulty they faced in accessing education, say 30, 40 years ago. If you did not have money, there was no way one could gain that qualification unless and until you were very intelligent or your parents were very rich. These were the two factors. Or third one, you can say that you had enough collateral, which means you got to be rich again to get a loan if you did not want to use your FNPF. So these were the situation, but we have overcome all that. We're providing a lot of opportunities for the young ones to achieve whatever they want to achieve in their academic life. Since the Fijian government also supports the tertiary studies through national toppers and tertiary loan schemes, and it is through this mechanism that any child can reach university to realize their dreams. We have also supported our disabled students through special grants for tertiary studies. Ladies and gentlemen, we want to ensure that our investment in our children's education is used in the best possible way. We want to see education evolve with time to meet the needs of our nation. We must transform education to make it resilient in times of disruptions, as we have seen during pandemic and natural disasters. We need to rethink education, making it more responsive towards our children living in a rapidly changing world. And whenever I talk about technologies and ensuring that our tech-savvy children, they use technology to learn, I always see excitement on children's face. They'll nudge one another, they smile, and they look very happy that, okay, so you've said it, when will this happen? And I hope that through the education sector plan, we should be able to realize this as well. Ladies and gentlemen, we need to, the Fijian government aims to ensure education is made relevant, as I mentioned. It needs to be agile and it needs to be student-friendly. In this way, we will achieve the aspirations that our National Development Plan has outlined. Through transformation, we can prioritize the role of knowledge and lifelong learning, which is critical for a sustainable future. Ladies and gentlemen, we are committed to achieving the SDG 4 targets as countries have committed under the Education Framework 2030. However, the social and economic disruptions such as school closures across the world caused by COVID-19 has severely impacted on the progress of SDG 4 targets. The education sector plan is an opportunity to use these disruptions to transform our education sector in a strategic way, to focus on innovation, sustainability, and employability. There will be nationwide consultation to develop the education sector plan. We want to ensure that the ownership of the plan is with the people. A thorough analysis of the education sector will be carried out to form the basis for ESP development so that it provides evidence-based outcomes. And as Permanent Secretary outlined, I'm aware that a lot of work has taken place behind the scene in collecting the various data. Once you have the various data, then you can have a meaningful discussion around that data, rather than assuming that this is what the situation is. So that was the first step, and I thank UNICEF and DFAT for coming on board and helping Ministry of Education to collect and analyze all this data. Ladies and gentlemen, the education sector plan drafting should begin in 2023 and be complete after another round of consultation in mid-2023. That is our plan. And we hope to complete this within this financial year so that we are ready with the recommendations, or you can say action plan, along with the finances that is required to implement the action plan, and we can take that to the development partners, as well as put it across to Ministry of Economy for the budget process, so that we can get this money to implement some of the things that we outline. Now, while it is a 10-year plan, I'm sure there will be times when this plan needs to be revised based on changing circumstances. So it's not something that is, it's there and then we have to always follow it. We need to adapt and adopt the plan as we go along. Ladies and gentlemen, the UN Secretary General, Mr. Antonio Guterres, as part of our common agenda, will be convening a Transforming Education Summit next month, that is September 2022, with the view towards elevating education to the top of the global political agenda. And we all realize this is the first time the world has come around together, and they're giving so much importance to education. Generally, we see there are other themes where global attention is drawn to. Environment is one, trade is another, economic activities of various forms, that's another sector where attention is drawn. But for the first time, education is taking the center stage, and we don't want to lose out on this momentum. We want to be part of it and go along with it and make a commitment so that we come up with an education sector plan which is well analyzed, well documented, financing is worked out, implementation plan is worked out, and it's just a matter of implementing it. This summit that I mentioned aims to mobilize action, ambition, solidarity, and solutions to transform education between now and 2030. The government's commitment to build a knowledge-based society is through investing in education. We want to see that all our children have access to equitable education regardless of where they live. After all, ladies and gentlemen, education is key to human development and plays a foundational role for peaceful and prosperous future. Once again, my sincere appreciation to GPE for funding the education sector plan, and I also thank UNICEF and DFAT for coming on board and helping Ministry of Education in this particular exercise. And I also take the opportunity to thank all the stakeholders who have been helping Ministry of Education in the education reform program. Just a couple of weeks back, the Permanent Secretary, along with the team, they held a few consultations around the country, and that exercise was purely for the Transforming Education Summit that will be held next month. But that also gave an insight of what the stakeholders think education should achieve. So with these words, ladies and gentlemen, I have much pleasure in launching the Education Sector Plan Development Program. So Vinaka Vakalevu, and thank you very much.